Welcome to Scoop World Order. It's the day after Christmas. Hope you guys had a good day today. A lot of bowl games going on. We're getting close, guys. All the hay is in the barn for the Buckeyes. They are through their two tough practices. They have a walkthrough tomorrow. They have a nice, easy day, and then they've got the bowl game on Friday. So I hope you guys are jacked up for it. The team out with the media today. Practice was open for about 5 to 10 minutes for the media, and they kind of told you guys what we already been telling you. We're going to see a whole team out there playing, except for Marvin Harrison, potentially, and Tommy Eichenberg, who looks like he's going to be hurt and potentially out. Lathan Ransom has been out. There's no question there. But we've got a lot of juniors. A lot of people are worried about playing, all participating. So what does that mean for 2024? I think you guys will be very excited about what that means. So with that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys so much. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas as we march into a very Happy New Year. Again, this is going to be a fantastic show. We appreciate our participation. If you guys have super chats and you have a question that you need answered, you guys skip the line. We stop the show. We answer your questions. So as always, we appreciate you guys patronizing us and taking care of us and taking care of these great questions because you guys carry the show. So we appreciate that. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out what was your favorite Christmas gift. Shout out what are you doing for the game. I want to see all of it. That being said, Nevada, a lot of people got glimpses at practice for the first time. We've had eyes on practice for, 3 weeks now. They kind of get to see what we've already been talking about. A lot of guys are playing in this game. I think Marvin's the only guy sitting out that's not injured. Tommy, I think he's dinged up, is likely to miss the game. But other than that, man, we are at full strength, full steam ahead. What does this mean for the 2023 edition, the capstone game for the Buckeyes, and then the 2024 edition of Ohio State? How good could we possibly be?
Well, one, it means bad news for Missouri. I can tell you that. Like the Buckeyes are sharp. The Buckeyes are sharp, and if they weren't, we would tell you. If things were in disarray, we would tell you. If things were, not good, we would tell you. But I'm telling you, the Buckeyes are the Buckeyes are going to be fully loaded coming on Friday. Practices have been sharp. The game plan is sharp. They feel like they've got the thing. They've got the read on what Missouri likes to do. Now they just got to go out and do it. But I think we're looking at a big effort on Friday. I think it's going to be a signature performance by the Buckeyes on Friday against Missouri. And I think it's going to propel them into 2024. 2024 is looking like everybody but Mike Hall and Marvin Harrison are returning. And, when you start putting those guys, you start putting the names into the depth chart for next year. The guy, Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, Cody Simon, Tyleek Williams, JT Tumaloa, Jack Sawyer, Donnie Jackson, and Emeka Ibuka. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you're talking about 8 to 10 guys that you could have reasonably lost to the NFL draft that are now penciled in as starters for 2024. So I think Ohio State's going to go in the 2024 season one of the favorites to win the whole thing, a prohibitive favorite to win the Big Ten and to earn one of the top seeds in the new 12-team playoffs. So very, very exciting time. These last 3 weeks have been very productive for Ohio State, and I think we're all going to see it on display on Friday night against Missouri. I can't wait for being a non-college football playoff game. I'm as excited about this one as I've been in a very, very long time, and I think the Buckeyes are going to be dealing on Friday night. And you guys can hold me to that. If that's not true, you guys can line up in the chat and say, "Oh, Nevada, you didn't have it right. Nevada, you were wrong." But I'm telling you, I'm going to be right on this one. The Buckeyes are going to roll on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, we talked in pre-show. For those of you who don't know, we do a little 5-10 minute pre-show where Nevada and I just kind of go over what we want to go through tonight. And you mentioned the 03 Kansas State game my freshman year. That was a team that beat the Hurricanes predominantly. About 20 guys were back from that team that were starters and big-time names. And all the names, Krenzel. We didn't have Maurice Clarett. We didn't have Mike Doss, but everybody else pretty much was back. And we lost the Michigan game in 03. We lost the Michigan game up there. That was a chance to go back to the national championship game when it was basically the top two teams played for the championship back then. And we had a decision. Do we play for, does the team play up and beat what was a pretty decent Kansas State team that beat the crap out of Darren Sproles and Oklahoma? Or do we roll over and die and whatever? And we came out and we played really well. It was actually really fun. And we got a nice win. It kind of was a nice capstone for Craig Krenzel and a lot of those guys that were seniors to go out the right way. Again, you don't want to go out with an L in your career. Not everyone's that fortunate. Again, I lost my last bowl game, which sucked, and so I think that this is kind of one of those things for a lot of these guys that are older guys. They want to go out and get that dub, feel better about everything after the Michigan game. There's nothing you can do after you lose to Michigan. You miss the playoffs. You gotta just go out with a win. And I think there's a lot of these juniors that are motivated to come back again, partially because they haven't beat Michigan. Really, like most of our juniors haven't done anything in their careers of note, other than make individual accolades, which doesn't mean anything in the lore of Ohio State. They haven't won a Big Ten championship. They haven't beat Michigan. They haven't been national champions. So I think that there's a lot of motivation for these guys to come back. Nevada, who do you think is going to go pro, and how confident are you that we're going to have a huge swath of juniors coming back?
No, again, things can change. If somebody had a big performance in the Cotton Bowl and somehow they felt like that changed their draft status, or had some sort of change of heart with their personal situation, but I mean, they pretty much have told. I mean, you understand, the team has gotten together and talked about this. They've talked about this individually. They've talked about this collectively. They've talked about this with Ryan Day. And the word is the only two that are leaving are Marvin and Mike Hall. Everybody else has said, coming back for 2024, let's rack it up and let's roll it back one more time. Now, could that change? Look, you never know. I famously talked about Mike Doss changing his mind. I mean, history's littered through guys that have changed their minds both directions: coming, going, staying, not staying, whatever. But that's the word from them. That's the words coming out of the meetings. That was kind of the decision. And frankly, when you look at each one of these decisions, individually, in terms of where these guys are at, what they're looking for, as you said, what kind of NIL opportunities are for them at Ohio State going forward into 2024, they all make sense. They all make sense. Even crazy ones like Emeka and Trey make sense in the light of what they're going to get in NIL for next year, what the objective is for them, from an NFL draft status standpoint, and how they're planning on improving their grade and what they intend to do. But I mean, when you run that around in your mind, that we're going to have these, I mean, just Emeka and Trey back one more time, I mean, that's crazy train to me, and I'm still gonna hold my breath until it's official in the middle of January. But that's the way it's looking. That's the way they've stated. That's what Ryan Day's planning on, and that's why whenever Ryan Day's asked about this, you see his eyes light up and he gets all excited talking about the guys that are coming back, because that's what he's been told. And who wouldn't be excited hearing that the core of a really, really good team, you're one play away from being the number one seed of the playoff, is returning for one more go around next year, and it's going to be even better. So next year's Buckeye team is absolutely loaded, and going to be one of the big favorites to win the national championship next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if he came into the season and there was some sort of odds on Emeka, Trey coming back for 2024, they'd be exceptionally low. But the seasons that they had didn't go the way they wanted them to. They were injured. I think durability is a question for both those guys. The talent isn't, but the durability is. And, I don't think, again, that their grades that they got from the NFL committee were exceptional. So all of a sudden they're just like, well, we can stay in Columbus for another year, try to right the wrong, try to beat Michigan. We got Michigan at home next year, which I think is huge. Devin Brown potentially could be our starting quarterback. And if he lights it up on Friday, I think that those guys will line up to have Devin be the guy. But I think that they, again, I've said it every single show. You guys listen to me talk about NIL. I know you guys all hate NIL, and also the devil. But, for these guys that can make a little bit of scratch, stay in Columbus, enjoy college for one more year, and not be destitute and impoverished like we were back in the day, I think it's huge. Emeka can be the star of the show. Trey can be the star of the show. I mean, those two alone will probably be the two biggest draws for most of the sponsors. So they're going to be really excited to see what they do. But again, if you read the tea leaves, which a lot of you guys do, you guys are real smart. You guys read every media outlet there is. Chip taking off, Evan Pryor taking off, Mine taking off. I think that they kind of know what the decision is from Trey Henderson. I think that they think that he's sticking. And a lot of those guys are very hungry mouths that want to be fed. And, Chip's like, well, if I go to Kentucky, I'll be the lead guy. And Evan Pryor's like, well, if I go to Cincinnati, I'll be the lead guy. And Mine, I have no idea what Mine's thinking going pro, but Mine should have either gone to the portal or came back. But he went pro, which is fine. Because I think that they saw Trey and they saw Dallin Hayden. James Peoples is no joke, folks. We're going to put his film on in a second. But I'm excited. Like, I think this will be, This game will be very interesting for a lot of facets between Devin Brown, Trey, Emeka. A lot of these guys, if they want to get launched into award season next year and preseason All American contention and whatever, like people are going to take notice of what do they do in this game on Friday. So, as much as we're not excited about, or there's some fans that aren't excited about it because it's not a playoff game. Nevada and I are exceptionally excited about this game because we get to see Devin, see Emeka, see Trey, see Carnell Tate, see a lot of young dogs, see Jack Story, JT, get after these guys a little bit. And if they have a huge game, all of a sudden they'll be in the preseason All-American mix, which leads you to the postseason All-American mix. They'll be in the award mix, for every award, the Blitnikoff for Emeka, the Doak Walker for Trey. If you're Devin Brown, you'll be up for the Davey O'Brien and all the big quarterback awards if you have a big game in this game because Ryan Day's offense kind of catapults you into that. Nevada, Devin has been getting shredded or has been shredding our defense. He's been fantastic in bowl prep. A lot of good energy there. What are you projecting from Devin? Again, he had another good practice today. They have one more walkthrough tomorrow, and then it's over, man. The hay's in the barn Thursday, and then they play on Friday. What do you project from Devin?
I think he's going to have a heck of a game. I think he's going to. I think he's going to surprise some people. And look, Ohio State has kind of tabled the offense around his skill set, and to me that's exciting because I think that's really when you really unleash the full potential for the OSU offense is when you activate the quarterback, and we've talked about that. But it's little things too. It's giving him more option routes. It's giving him more swing passes out there. I hate even saying this, but they've actually run the screen pass because what Missouri's going to. Missouri likes to pressure. Missouri's going to come out and they're going to pressure Ohio State. And if Ohio State's not ready for that, it's going to be a problem. But because Missouri will blitz on passing situations about 60% of the time. And so for Ohio State, you've got a quarterback, first start, first ever. You got to give them the kind of the counters to the blitz, the counters to the pressure, and they've practiced it. Let's see them execute it, and let's see them dial it up. And defensively, Ohio State's kind of turning the tails on Missouri, and they've been kind of unleashing their blitz packages during this bowl prep. So I expect to see them blitz more this bowl game than they have all year. Last year they were kind of blitz happy. This year they kind of went almost the other way where they were certainly less inclined to blitz than ever before. I think this bowl thing will probably find a happy medium between the two, and I think you'll see more blitz packages because they want to get after the Missouri quarterback. They want to pressure him. They feel like they can guard on the outside, man to man. That they feel like they match up well with the great wide receivers for Missouri. And let's see if we can get some pressure on the Missouri quarterback and bring him down and get him to turn the ball over.
Yeah, I think they got to get after him early, get him off schedule, so to speak. Early downs, put him at 2nd and 12, 2nd and 15. So you're gonna have to pressure him a little bit. They've got a great running back. They've ran for a lot of yards this year, but I think that our defense has been really good versus the run. Obviously, we had a couple of snafus versus Michigan, but otherwise we were locked down all year, and Missouri's not as good as Michigan is. They're not even close. So I think you guys can be ready to eat. I got some Devin Brown film on here. I think with Devin, they're going to move the pocket a little bit. I think they're going to do some stuff to keep him comfortable early in the game. Easy throws, throw it to your skill guys. You don't have to, you don't have to be perfect when you play at Ohio State at quarterback. You got to be good. You don't have to be perfect. But when you throw it to Carnell Tate, Emeka, Brandon Innes, I think that they'll be running more Xavier again. I think they're going to run Devin. I really do. I think that he's going to be running Q power. Some of the zone. You see him running zone read here. This is exceptional. Here's a touchdown run. I'll run this one back because I grabbed it. But it's like this is something we haven't done. This isn't an SEC team. This is high school football. But this is so easy. And he reaches out, scores a rushing touchdown. You see a bunch of these on the tape, and this is what Ryan has to do with this kid. Look, this is like stealing. And again, we're impossibly stupid the fact that we don't run this as much. But this is Ryan Day's one of his signature plays. They run this Q counter play where it's a counter here. You do the read option here. You're reading this end. If this end closes, what she does, watch. like when this end closes and he comes down here and chases the running back, then guess what? There's nobody here. It's all green grass. So like this is the stuff you can do when you have a running quarterback. And again, this is something Kyle McCord, who had lead feet, couldn't do. But this kid can do it all day. And I think when Ryan Day is obsessed with winning this game, you can't hold anything back. You got to let it go and let's go win the football game. Like, don't worry about injuries and someone stubbing their toe or getting a hangnail, because I think Ryan's too soft on these quarterbacks. I really do. I think he doesn't understand how everyone else on the field gets hit. So if a quarterback gets hit one time, he'll be okay. He'll survive. And I think that, with Devin, let's go win the game. Screw it. I mean, you got to go get what you can out of them. CW3, I got some super chats coming in. Thank you for the 5. You guys have super chats. Again, we stopped the show. We answer your questions, so we'll get right into it. Colorado Springs, beautiful part of the country. I used to go to Boulder every year for Christmas when my in-laws live there. They live in Naples now. Via Upper Arlington, Ohio, another beautiful part of the country. Go Golden Bears. Is Harrison a definite no? Yes, he is, for the bowl. And what happened with Dominic Kirks? Happy New Year, Go Bucks. Happy New Year to you as well. I think Kirks is still in play big time. I think that we're going to pursue him until the final signing day. I think we're in on Dom Kirks. I mean, McKinley, the kid who's from the South, is a much bigger reach than Dom Kirks. Dom Kirks is a guy I think we could easily flip. Nevada, Dominic Kirks, you think he's going to be a Buckeye? Potentially.
Well, Washington sure feels that way. I mean, Washington sure feels that he's going to be, they've got him on flip watch for sure. I think a lot of that stuff will kind of clarify itself in the couple of weeks after the bowl game. But Ryan and those guys have been so focused on the bowl game. I mean, this bowl game, we talked about this early. This is for Ryan. He has presented it to the team as this is the first game of the 2024 season. So this is not the last game of 2023. This is not a send-off. This is not a farewell. This is not an audition. This is the springboard game into 2024. And so for these guys coming back, they're all looking at it like, hey, we want to have a perfect season. We want to run the table. We want to get this thing off on the right foot. They do not want to finish with having lost to Michigan and then having lost their bowl game. I'm just telling you. So this is why this has been such a point of emphasis for them. This is why Ohio State's really been kind of solely focused on this. This is why Ryan hasn't made any coaching changes. We talked about, make the coaching changes that are inevitably going to happen. He's pushed all that stuff to the new year. I think the same thing with the transfer portal stuff. After the new year, they'll have a chance to evaluate. They'll have a chance to make some tough calls, and that's when they'll make the calls. But right now, it is all hands on deck, solely focused on the Cotton Bowl. And that's not every team, man. If you follow bowls, most teams, it's a vacation, it's an audition, it's disarray, it's chaos, it's whatever it is. It's the exact opposite for Ohio State. It is the perfect storm of focus for Ohio State right now. And you as an Ohio State fan, you as an Ohio State potential bettor is getting the advantage of this because you have the information that you've got a team that is squarely focused on the game, fully loaded going into the game, and the rest of the betting public doesn't know that. In fact, they may have the exact opposite impression of Ohio State coming into this. So advantage you.
Again, I was a part of a team in 2011 when we played that Gator Bowl versus Florida. That was a team, again, I was part of the staff, whatever, but I was like, we aren't going to win this game. And we were competitive. I mean, it came down to kind of the last couple drives, whatever, but our entire coaching staff minus, if there's 10 guys on staff, there were 3 guys who were getting retained. The other 7 guys were fired. The strength coach was fired. It was an abomination. Our strength coach wasn't showing up. Our coaches were just kind of checked out. It sucked, but it kind of is what it was because, again, if somebody fires you and then all of a sudden they say, hey, you got to work for 3 more weeks, how hard are you really going to work? Really? Especially a lot of those guys that worked there since 2001 and they got 10 years of service, national championships, Big Ten championships, and all of a sudden they say, yeah, you're gone. Urban's coming in. He's bringing his own folks. See ya. Have a nice life, whatever, don't care. And I don't think any of those coaches have been back since they got whacked. Most of those guys they lived in the Woody Hayes for 10 years. They got fired. And by the time it was all over, they didn't care about Hayes anymore. They could have cared less about him because of how they were treated. So, we had to go coach a bowl game with a bunch of guys that were looking for jobs the whole entire month of December while Urban Meyer was in the building, with his new staff, with Mark Pantoni, Brian Voltolini, and it was an abortion. It was terrible. And that never should have happened. That game never should have been played. Should have taken the bowl ban that year. But again, we had incompetent leadership, which killed us. And so we had to go play a game that nobody cared about, and it cost us potentially a national championship in 2012, where we played Notre Dame and probably whooped them in the national championship game. But this team's different. This team's got there's a lot of juice here. I think there's a lot at stake. I think that, again, I talk about how much you guys hate NIL, but if these guys ball out, man, they get big NIL deals. Devin Brown goes out and throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and beats the tar out of Missouri, then every local company in Columbus, Ohio, even nationally, is going to be knocking on his door. If Emeka scores 2 touchdowns and 180 yards, 7 catches, he's going to be the new Marvin. So again, Ohio State is a huge brand. People like to attach to that. They like to attach to winners. That good feeling. That the best part about a bowl game is when you win it, you get 9 months of goodwill. Like when you beat Michigan or you beat Michigan State or Texas or whoever, you get a week of goodwill, maybe 2 weeks of goodwill. But you got to win that next week too. You beat Texas that next week when you play, Miami of Ohio or Sandy Valley or Antarctica Tech or whoever you play. You got to go still win that one. But when you win a bowl game, it's 9 months of goodwill. And there's some guys like AJ Hawk and Bobby Carpenter and Schlegel and those guys, they've been living off beating Notre Dame for 18 years now. We beat them in 2005, and Bobby didn't even play anything. Those guys, oh man, that Hawk game where he sacked, his AJ, he sacked Brady Quinn's, sister or whatever. He married his sister and he sacked him. It was one of those crazy things where those guys rode that wave, and a lot of those guys that were, that was their last year, San Antonio. It was amazing because people have such good feelings from winning a big bowl game. Even that 17 team that beat USC in the Cotton Bowl, that was a feel good game. People were yeah, I enjoyed that game. JT Barrett's last game, we beat Sam Darnold and a good USC team that had a lot of name brand players. And I think it's just so important for the state of the program. It's important for recruiting. Again, losing a bowl game, people don't realize the importance of winning or losing a bowl game, even if it's not a playoff game, even if you don't get the big ring, the national championship trophy. Just winning a bowl game, everybody feels better for 9 months. Everybody in the program feels better. Everybody in Columbus feels better. Everybody in Ohio feels better. So there's a lot at stake. In Missouri, they haven't been on the big stage. We're on the big stage every year. People can't wait to see us. People pray for us to lose. And I think that the thing about Missouri is they've never really had that pressure. So I think Ryan knows that. I think this team knows that. I think, again, a lot of these young guys, if Marvin opts out and Carnell Tate is one of the top guys, if it's Carnell Tate, Ennis, and Emeka, because again, you have 2 guys gone. You have Julian and you have Marvin. And they started every game this year. So this is Ennis time. It is Tate time. I'm sure Xavier's going to get some burn, but I'm putting Ennis out there, man. Ennis is the dog. And you got to get these guys going. Nevada, we got some more super chats. I'm going to go into Sean. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the 5. When you say everyone except Hall and Marvin Harrison are back, does that mean guys like Stover and Eichenberg? Those guys are both gone, I believe. Cade Stover, I believe, is gone. Tommy Eichenberg accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl, so he's gone. Also, if Burke is back, does one of the corners leave? I don't think so. I think they've got a good little rotation there between Davison, Jordan Hancock at the nickel, Denzel at corner. What are your thoughts about it? Because Cade's gone and Tommy Eichenberg are gone. I haven't even considered those guys as coming back, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, those guys are gone. They're kind of in that category of been here a long time, moving on. I haven't even considered. I guess maybe they could technically qualify for another year, but those guys are gone. I'm talking about the guys that still have eligibility remaining. In terms of the returning guys. As for the other guys leaving, I don't think so because we play so many. We're playing 3 corners on basically every possession, and we play a lot of guys, and also the year after that, then the jobs are wide open. So no, I don't think we'll be losing anybody that's in the 2 deep. Maybe if you get down to the 3 deep, that could be an issue. But anybody that's in the 2 deep, I don't see them leaving. I guess stranger things have happened, but I haven't heard any rumblings that could be in the cards.
I totally agree. D Sunny, my man, appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Again, all you guys, belated Christmas, Sean, all you guys that are in here every night. I hope you guys had a good Christmas, good New Year. Thank you for the 5. Can you tell us comparisons for JJ, Ennis, and Tate? This is a great question. What makes each one different when they are on the field? Yeah, I'll do that. So JJ is Julio Jones. Jeremiah Smith is Julio Jones. That's exactly who he is. Body type, body comp. Go look at Julio coming out of high school. Go look at JJ looking out of high school. I mean, JJ's slightly taller, but the muscular definition, the fluidity, the explosion is Julio Jones. Julio Jones got to Bama, and people are like, yeah, he's first rounder in 3 years tops, and he was. I mean, he's monster Hall of Fame wide receiver in the NFL, and that's what JJ is. Ennis is very interesting because people, I talked to the South Florida Express people, they compare him to Anquan Bolden. I think he's more like Jarvis Landry, a slot guy, tough guy, blocks, catches the ball. He could be a 100 catch guy in the NFL. Doesn't have the top end speed of Tate, but he's exceptionally physical. He's the juice man. He's the guy that's got the fire, the energy, the anger. He's the guy, like if JJ, Ennis, and Tate are all in a room, like Tate and JJ are looking at Ennis for leadership. Because that's what Brandon is. Brandon is, he runs hot, he runs angry, he plays angry, he talks a lot of trash. He's just a nasty, nasty kid, nasty, ferocious kid, and I love all of it. I mean, I love guys like Brandon is. I mean, for an Ohio State guy, he reminds me of Santonio. Santonio wasn't a slot guy, which is why I compared him more to Jarvis Landry. Carnell, whew, I mean, Carnell is your classic Z. Can take the top off the ball. He's not as fast as Ted. He's kind of built like Ted. God, who's Carnell remind me of? I mean, he's of recent guys. He's like Olave. I'd say they both played the Z. Can run for days. Super productive. Kind of a quiet kid, but ultra competitive. Again, when Denzel Burke, who's a third-year guy who can go to the league and probably be a second-round pick, for him to say, "Oh yeah, Carnell Tate is him," which for you guys that don't know the vernacular, like he is him, is like kind of the new word for, like he's that dude. He's legit. He's real. He's not fake. He's not some 5-star propaganda machine. Like he's a guy that if a guy's been practicing against him since I don't know last spring, and he says he's him, that means he's really good. And again, I think Carnell's going to be the blowout player. He could be the MVP of the bowl game on Friday, in my opinion, but. Nevada, do you have comps for the 3 of those guys?
Well, I mean, those are pretty good comps. I mean, it's. I mean, exactly. I mean, Brandon Ennis is definitely he's more of a sturdy guy. He's the guy that's going to mix it up. I mean, frankly, you look at them and they all perfectly complement each other, and that's what makes this class coming in like this so special. Because if you have guys that are playing the same position or the same body type or the same type of wide receiver, it's not guys are not energy. You can't just throw 3 guys out there and they can be good and you can be out there and be be very productive, but it's not as productive as when you have guys that kind of fit the roles, and those guys fit the roles perfectly. So no, I was thinking Olave as well when you were talking about Tate, because they remind me of each other, so much. And Chris Olave was one of my all-time favorite players that ever came to Ohio State. Loved him in high school, and when he was committed to Ohio State, was so excited about seeing him. And so when he broke out that Michigan game, he was not a new. It was a little bit of a surprise, but he wasn't a new name. And Carnell Tate could have a similar type of breakout game against Missouri, and everybody will know the name. But the other schools will know the name by the end of Friday. I think Carnell's going to have a big game.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the guy, man. I'm telling you, he's been the second team huddle all year, and that's who Devin features. Daniel O'Leary, thanks for the deuce, brother. OSU rugby, that's a tough guy right there. 86-88. I hate Scum more than anyone. I appreciate you. I know that you probably hate him more than me and Nevada do, so appreciate your patronage. Thank you for the shout out. Hope you had a good Christmas, good New Year. Jermaine Goins, thank you for the 5. Marvin Harrison Jr. has done enough in his Ohio State career to have his jersey number retired. True or false? Exceptionally false. I don't know if there's a more false statement in the universe. Again, I think Marvin's a very good player. think he's had a nice career. Had the Blitnikoff, but Terry Glenn won the Blitnikoff, and nobody even considered retiring his number. Marvin is a great kid. He's an exceptional worker, like a superstar. But like you have to understand the standard at Ohio State to retire a number. And I've talked to Orlando Pace about this ad nauseum, where we haven't retired Orlando's number, and Orlando was maybe the greatest offensive lineman in college football history, and second ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody put his number up. I mean, the only numbers that are up right now are Heisman Trophy winners and Bill Willis. That's it. Broke the color barrier. Bill Willis is in the College Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's not an NFL Hall of Fame. So again, the standard is very high. Like, I mean, if we're handing out number 10, Troy Smith's number, we're handing out number 2, which is Chris Carter's number. Like, Marvin is very, very good, but is he better than Garrett Wilson? I don't know. I mean, I know he won the Blitnikoff, but I'd take Garrett over Marvin, my opinion. I like Garrett better. I like Chris Carter over him. Chris Carter's got a gold jacket. Chris Carter's probably a top 10 receiver that's ever lived. So, again, I don't think Nevada's going to argue with me on this one, but if we don't have Orlando Pace up, it's really hard for me to say, hey, let's put up Marvin. As much as we love him and as current as he is, I just think that the standard is so crazy high. Because again, like at Ohio State, like any other school, if he was at Colorado, I used to go to Colorado football games every year. My in-laws lived in Boulder. They had season tickets. And they had like Nate Solder, who played left tackle for the Patriots. His number was retired. First round pick, nice player. But at Ohio State, if you don't win the Heisman Trophy or you don't break the color barrier like Bill Willis did, your number doesn't go up in the rafters, period. But your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Look, as long as there are linebackers running around that are wearing number 36 or offensive linemen running around wearing number 74, then you can't consider anybody else there for them, because those two numbers should be retired on there for the Spielman and Burt Carton.
75. Oh, get out of here.
What? Stupid. What? Did I say
Burt Carton.
Did I? I'm sorry.
I was
I'm
like thinking Orlando or John. At least say John Hicks. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh man, I screwed that one up. I'm so sorry. I meant Orlando Pace, and I was thinking Burt Carton at the time.
Carton.
I'm sorry, guys. I apologize, but yeah.
I was like, I thought you were gonna say, hey, John Hicks came in second in the Heisman, so I thought you were like gonna like slide one through the net there, but I was like, Nevada might have been in the eggnog a little early tonight. I was like,
no,
Jesus.
John, I love me some John. I love me some John Hicks, and I love me some, the Big O was that. I mean, 36. Come on, that's just iconic. I mean, Chris Spielman. Like for me, not that I wasn't always an Ohio State fan, but he just kind of cemented it for me. I loved him. I loved watching him play when he was when we had him and Pepper Johnson as our two inside linebackers. I don't think there was ever a better pair of inside linebackers at Ohio State. And 36-74, Carton, Spielman.
I was gonna say they gave 36 to Kurt Lucas, my freshman roommate. So yeah, I was like, damn. I was like, we had Chris Spielman, who was a Hall of Famer and everything else. So we gave it to Kurt. I was like, all right, times are tough. Jeff Perry, thank you for the 10. In my opinion, we're basically not going to dip into the portal. Do you know if they're actively trying to add linemen or a running back? They would seem to be the positions we need. I don't think we're adding any running backs, especially if Trey has kind of given the word that he's coming back. It would make zero sense, especially with Dallin Hayden, James Peoples. Like, I mean, you got to understand, like, if you're going after a running back who's a legit player, he wants to be the future guy. And if Trey's coming back, he's going to be 2, if not 3, behind Dallin Hayden. And James Peoples might beat out Dallin Hayden. So I don't think that's going to be in the deal. Linemen, I think we're always looking at linemen. You can't have enough linemen. The biggest issue with next year is that we've got 4 starters on the O-line coming back. And we could have 2, 3, or 4 D linemen coming back. I think we're going to have at least one. Sawyer, Tyleek, Mike Hall, JT. I think at least, we're going to have at least one come back. I think we're going to have all 4 come back or something in between. But, I think you're always looking for linemen, but are they good enough? Can we afford them? What's their motivation for getting into the portal? And will it upset the apple cart in the position room? So, again, Walter Nolan left Texas A&M. He signed with Ole Miss. That's a guy that I would love to have had. But if we sign him, what does that mean with Tyleek? What does it mean with Mike Hall? Like, does it anger the room? Again, you got to understand, like, we signed Victor Cutler last year, who stunk, to an NIL deal, and he made 300 grand or whatever he made. Didn't play a snap. He was completely worthless. And then he left after a year and went to Louisiana, or excuse me, Louisville. And so, he came from, God, like one of the dinky schools down in the South, and he couldn't play. We tried to move him to center, tried to get him to compete with Carson Hinsman. And once he got beat up by Carson, he just kind of tapped out and chilled the rest of the season, collected his money, and he got his Ohio State degree because they got his credits to transfer to Ohio State. So he has an Ohio State diploma and a bunch of money. And then he left and went to Louisville. So, like the portal, we've had some grand slam home runs like Davison Igbinosun, and we've had some strikeouts to end the game like Victor Cutler. He's whatever, but like we paid that kid money to suck. So, I think that you have to really evaluate these kids and say, hey, can this guy really contribute, or is he gonna just take up a spot on the bench and we're gonna pay him money and upset the rest of the room? When a lot of these kids didn't get any money and they beat him out, and they're like, well, where's my money? Why'd you give him money and I didn't get money? So it's very delicate. You gotta be very careful with it. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, to going back to an earlier point that we made on the show, I mean, if you're not returning the 8 or 10 guys that we talked about that are going to be returning next year, you've got bigger holes to fill. Both on the potentially on the offensive line, certainly on the defensive line, certainly up and down the roster. But you're returning those guys, so you don't have a lot. This was already a deep roster, and now you're returning those guys. I mean, people that are coming in the transfer portal generally are coming to start. They're not coming to be depth guys. They're not coming to be developed. They're coming to start. And there's just not going to be a lot of jobs available next year. So unless it's somebody who's just phenomenal that kind of comes out of nowhere, that kind of falls into our lap, I just don't see it happen. I think we're gonna play a pat hand, and I'm telling you, we're gonna be consensus top 2, 3, maybe number 1 next year with all these guys returning. I mean, it's a loaded Ohio State team in 24, loaded. So let's get it off started right. Big win against Missouri on Friday night, kind of launch us into the preseason polling for 2024.
Totally agree. Great name, Jade Dizzle, 330 Hall of Fame City, which is Canton. I love 330. That's where my phone still is 330. Do you think the bowl game would be a perfect opportunity for Ryan to allow Hartline to call the offensive plays? I don't think Brian Hartline's ever going to get to call play at Ohio State as long as Ryan Day's here. I just think that's Ryan's whoopee. That's his little baby is calling the plays. And, Ryan's the guy that, he gets filleted if we suck on offense. So he's going to put it all on his back. And I think that's kind of his MO. I don't think he trusts Brian. Brian Hartline's never called a play. And again, I know Brian better than pretty much anybody. And he's never called a play, and he got promoted to OC because he's been a fantastic recruiter. But, do I think Ryan Day is going to give Brian Hartline the opportunity to call plays in a game like this? No, there's no chance. Like against Arkansas Tech or Alaska or some of these teams we play in the off conference when we're not playing like a real team, maybe. But I just don't think that Ryan is comfortable with anybody calling, because I think that that's his MO. I think he's a lot like a lot of these NFL guru geniuses, Sean McVay, and these guys walk around, they got the play sheet over their mouth and they're calling everything. Like I think that Kyle Shanahan, I think that that's the mold that Ryan's cut from. I think that he's gonna have that play sheet in his hand until he dies. He's never not going to be calling the plays at Ohio State. I think anyone that believes anything other than that is dumb. But that's my opinion. Unless Chip Kelly, if Chip Kelly would have gotten fired at UCLA, which there was a possibility of that, and he could have gotten Chip Kelly to come, his mentor, come be the OC, maybe he hands him the play sheet and lets him go up in the booth and call plays like a proper team is formulated. But I don't think Ryan's giving up the plays anytime soon. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, I think until Brian moves up to the booth, and I don't see that happening anytime soon, then I think it's gonna happen. Unless you did one of those things like, anybody remember that first cable system, that QUBE, the Cube or whatever it was, and they had that thing where you can it was like interactive. This is going back to the early days of cable, and they did something with a football game where the people would vote on what the next play was. Maybe they'd have that with a Heartline or something like that. Give him like a smartphone, and he gets to pick a play, and he'd probably take a double reverse pass or something, kind of like the Chiefs did yesterday against against the Raiders when they fumbled the ball into the end zone when Pat Mahomes was trying to be so clever in terms of doing that. So, but I think that's the only way he's going to get it if it's kind of like a Make-A-Wish thing where he gets to like call a play or something like that at the game. So we'll have it for Brian Hartline. We'll have like a GoFundMe so Brian Hartline can call a play at Ohio State or something like that. And we're like, way to go, Brian! Good job, good play call there, Brian. And we'll all cheer him on. But that's the only way it's going to happen.
AKA, it's never going to happen. So again, that's very festive. I think they said this like Buffalo Wild Wings. You can predict the plays in the NFL games, and
yeah, exactly.
Pat Mahomes. Like, I mean, it would be great because like you could just pick like a run or a pass, or you could say run left or run right or pass middle, pass deep, pass left, whatever. Like if you got more like precise, you get more points. But with Ryan Day, I mean, I'd probably make a fortune just doing it with Ohio State. I'd just pick pass every single time. So I'd have like 80% accuracy. Like Kirk Barton wins the free 6-pack of chicken wings. Amazing. From Buffalo Wild Wings. Shout out B-Dubs. Merry Christmas to B-Dubs. Thank you for sponsoring Buckeye Scoop. Appreciate you. Shelby, thank you for the 10. Thank you. Collier County checking in. Naples, baby. Go to See the Table, man. See the Table has the best food, the best drinks, the best crowd. Great place in Naples. Love it. Happy holidays, Team Scoop. Appreciate you. Goofy question on D-line rotation. Are Knowles and Johnson aligned on how many guys play, load management, etc.? Thanks. I would think so. You know, again, I think that there's a lot more symmetry. I know everybody likes to, fan the flame of Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson, like, sumo wrestling, the big fat D-line coach versus the skinny vegan tofu eating coordinator who, does feng shui and yoga and stuff. But I just think that there's more symmetry there than you guys think because they both want to win. Larry's not trying to like put guys out there so that he can suck and get, dog walked by the fan base and they could be mad about him recruiting because he's, 875 years old or whatever. Like he's Confucius. But I think that the biggest problem is, man, is like, we've got Jack and JT who are excellent players. They're excellent guys against the run. They're tough. They're sturdy dudes. The guys behind them need to play better and they need to be better. I'm talking to Caden Curry, talking to Kenyatta Jackson. They could be better players, and I know that might hurt some feelings and they might get little tears going, but they're not ready to play against teams like Notre Dame and Michigan. They go play against Arkansas State, Youngstown State, and, the Turd Fergusons of the world. But like when you go against like real teams that have real offensive tackles, those guys get sent into orbit versus the run. So, I've never seen in the history of Ohio State football, I've been following for 30 years, 2 defensive ends play every single snap. Now, maybe it happened in the 80s, but since the advent of the spread offense and pass rush and bringing in third down rush specialists, like I've never seen 2 defensive ends play an entire game before. And against Notre Dame, JT and Jack played the whole game, but I think against Michigan, they played like 98% of the snaps. So, again, that's just my observation, but I don't think that those guys trust the guys behind them because they're not sturdy enough. They're not tough enough. They're not disciplined enough to play the run. So instead of rotating those guys in and letting them be more effective and healthier and a little less fatigued, they got to stay out there and get battering rammed for the entire game because that's how bad our backups are. And again, those guys need to play better. So I'm not team LJ, team Knowles. I'm team the second team guys need to play better and be tougher versus the run, not freelance, not do their own thing, not get thrown out of the club when they're there. Cause like some of those guys, they put them in for a play and they get thrown out of the club. Like it's like the dude that walks into the nice nightclub, they got the white tee on, they got the fitted hat on, and the bouncers throw them out like head first into the middle of the street and they get ran over by a cab. That's what our backup ends look like versus Michigan and Notre Dame. Teams that have real tackles, real offensive lines. So again, truth hurts, but hey man, you guys tune in for the truth. That's why we have the best ratings in all of Ohio State sports and football with this podcast, because you guys want to hear what's really going on. And I don't think they trust those guys. So I don't think it's an LJ and a Knowles, 2 battering rams going against each other. I think that these backups need to play better so that these guys can be confident. Because look, like if you've got backups that are good enough to play and spell guys, by all means, put them in. We rotated pretty much we put G. Scott in, we put in Chip Trainum, we put in Xavier Johnson, it spelled the top drawer guys, but like on the ends, man, we gotta get a little rotation on. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, it brings up an interesting point. I think this is one of the things that people have to understand is there's always this confusion about this when we talk about this on the board. The position coaches are the guys that are sending guys out there. Like Ryan Day is not calling plays and then saying, "Hey Brian, this is the wide receivers I went out there," and "Hey Tony, this is the running back I went out there," and "Hey Justin, by the way, this is the offensive line I went out." Like that's what the position coaches do. So when people talk about rotations or about guys playing or something like that, look, they can talk about stuff before the game and have kind of an idea what they want to do, but that's what the position coaches do. So when they're sitting out there and like you wonder why is this guy on the field or why isn't that guy on the field? That's the position coach making that determination about who's playing and who isn't playing and who's ready and who isn't ready to get it done. So no, I'm with you. We got to just get better. Now, one of my complaints with Ryan Day has been that we tend to keep guys in there longer. In the one position that he does control, the quarterback, he'll keep the quarterback in. C.J. Stroud in the fourth quarter throwing up 50, and that's always bothered me. I mean, that's always kind of I've always felt that you've got to get the chance for some of the backups to get a little bit of burn, and I don't think we've done that enough. And I think it's been to our detriment as we kind of come to these situations right now where this year Kyle McCord had never really played, and now Kyle's gone, and Devin Brown hadn't really played, and I think Ryan's got to get better about that, get more comfortable in the quarterback room. But in the other rooms, hey, it's a meritocracy. If you're good enough, you play. If you don't, sorry, you're sitting on the bench.
I absolutely totally agree. Curtis Bowman, thank you for the deuce. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, brother. Dave Rice, here we go. Thanks for the deuce. I thought Burt Carton hated pace. That is a misnomer. That is a dirty, dirty lie from a dirty, dirty person in Nevada Buck who spread that lie throughout all of Las Vegas. Every time I go to Vegas, if I go to Sapphire or Spearmint Rhino, the first thing these girls sit down and say is, "Hey, how's your night going? I heard you hate Orlando Pace." I was like, I don't hate Orlando Pace. He's my hero. He's my Michael Jordan. Like, I've got his number. I text him. He's my boy. It's like, no, but that's not what this shadowy figure known as Nevada Buck before he escaped to go to the skybox and disappear for the night said that you hate Orlando Pace and he paid me $100 to walk up and say that to you. And I was like, he really paid you all that money just to crap on my idol and spread these vicious lies? And he said, yeah, and he gave me a free login to BuckeyeScoop.com where I can post it every single day and he'll pay me every day. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
The people that are on here know the Orlando Pace slander that you had right now. And that's why I didn't go with 75 on the numbers to be retired. I knew that would trigger you. I knew that would make you upset. So I decided I'll go with Spielman and I'll throw Burt Carton's number on there because the Orlando Pace. I don't want to get this fight with you about Orlando Pace about whether he was good or not. I think he was good. You have a different opinion. It's okay. We that's why we're best.
We're best buddies because you can lie and cheat and still say Kirk hates Orlando Pace. I love Orlando Pace. Is my favorite player of all time. He's he's like my hero, and he's like, oh, this will be a perfect thing to spread. Kirk hates Orlando Pace deep down. Deep down, he's a big Mike. They should retire for Mike Adams or Thayer Munford. These other 75s. They're the real 75s, not Orlando, not the guy that's in the Hall of Fame. Oh my God, that's fantastic, Dave. Thank you. That has made our entire show. Curtis Bowman, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, man. San Antonio, Texas, the home of the Alamo Bowl and the home of the Riverwalk, where I spent Christmas Day, aka the Battle of the Bulge, right, Nevada. I said that multiple times. I was at Pat O'Brien's on Christmas Day. Actually, the whole team didn't go. I sat and watched James Bond. Everybody else was drinking Hurricanes.
You were Carlos or Charlie's or whatever the heck the name was.
Yeah, Carlos or Charlie's, aka Pat O'Brien's. But Nevada mixed up an Irish guy and a Mexican chain that's in like Cancun or whatever. Why isn't Ballard playing in the wide receiver rotation? What is he lacking? Well, the coaches obviously don't trust him. Jaden Ballard is a kid. I've known his dad since 7th grade. His dad, he had Jada when he was like 16. So, I remember he was pushing the stroller around Belden Village Mall when he was like a 16-year-old. And I was like, okay, cool. I've got a 6-year-old. And so, like, when I saw Jamal, his dad, I said, hey, what's up, man? His kid was a freshman, sophomore at Ohio State. My kid's, crawling on the ground in diapers and so whatever. But Jaden is a guy that we had a massive amount of hype for last year. massive amount of intel. They're running reverses with him. They're doing all that stuff to get him out on the edge. Kind of like completely, if a guy's got, because the thing about Jaden is, again, not from me, but from guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba at the Combine and Garrett Wilson. Who's the fastest guy on the entire team? Oh, it's Jaden Ballard. Oh, he can float. Oh, he is wicked fast, lightning fast. Oh my God. You should see how fast he is compared to, Chris Olave and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Denzel Burke and, Marvin and all these guys that are like pure smoke when they run. They're so fast. Jaden Ballard's the fastest. So, last December we had people at practice and they're saying, man, they're doing a lot of stuff with Jaden Ballard, a lot of gadget plays, little reverses, little wheel routes, little goofy stuff to get him out in space because he's so fast. And we're like, okay, so we'll go, okay, Jaden Ballard could be a factor in this Georgia game. So we get to the game, he doesn't play at all. And then Marvin gets knocked out of the game, concussed, whatever, targeted, whatever. And they still don't put Jaden in the game. And I'm just like, all right, I'm done with the Jaden Ballard stuff. Again, sure, he's a nice kid. He paints his fingernails, which is cool, I guess, for modern kids. But he doesn't play, which means the coaches don't trust him. Again, I've sat in the coach's office. I'm the only guy in the media that's actually been in a coach's office. I've been in the staff room. I can tell when coaches don't trust a guy. They don't trust Jaden Ballard. He's still here. He hasn't portaled. He's still whatever, doing his thing. Punt returning, fair catching everything, or catching stuff in, over his head and stuff, doing crazy stuff. But the coaches don't trust him. And again, like they trust Carnell Tate because guess who's going to start the game? Carnell Tate. They trust Ennis. He's probably going to start. They'll probably start as like a capstone moment. They'll start Xavier. He'll be a starter, and then they'll put Carnell out there, and they'll put they'll put Emeka out there. But Jaden Ballard has been lapped by Ennis and Tate in practice, so he's gonna be a senior next year. I mean, he ain't a pup no more. He's a third-year junior. He's draft eligible at this point, and the coaches don't trust him. And again, they can text me tonight and say, Kirk, you're wrong. We do trust him. I was like, well, he doesn't play, so you tell me, because you can't fool me, and I call a spade a spade. So that's the difference between us and everybody else is coaches don't trust him. Your thoughts about it?
Yeah, it's a weird one because, they don't trust him, but then they have him on one of the most trustworthy positions that you need, which is back there catching punts. Even though we don't return them, we just catch them. But yeah, there's clearly a disconnect there. Now, in fairness, he's been playing behind some really good players. Some really, really good players. And there's just sometimes you have a moment. There's a moment in time where, what's that Eminem song? If you don't capture your moment, it just kind of passes you by. I think he had his moment. It kind of passed him by. And in fact, I'm gonna rap that whole song right now. So
God!
If you could be my beatbox,
get mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, and it was time to play in the Peach Bowl, and Marvin got knocked out, and they said, "Hey, go get Xavier in there." Like that was the whole rap. It was like they looked at Jaden and said, "Hey, who else we got?" And I was like, "Oh." I know.
That's good. That's really good. That was really good.
It's really good. That came out in 2002. I remember that. Yeah. It's a hard song, man. 8 Mile Road.
I love
Shout
it.
out Brittany. Shout out R.I.P. Brittany Murphy.
R.I.P. Too soon, man. Too soon.
Too soon, man. She looked good in that movie. She doesn't look good anymore. S. Marsh, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. What, if any, impact will NIL or other future player payment models have on players opting out of the bowl games? Well, there's a new structure where there's some guys that want a little bit of cash to play in these games. So I think that NIL is a little bit different. I think it's a little bit, there's guys that, hey, I want a little protection. I want some insurance. I want to buy an insurance policy. So I think it helps guys who have a chance to enhance their NFL draft stock and have a chance to protect themselves to play in these games. So for me, I look at, I know everybody hates NIL. They hate these kids getting paid and driving around in Maseratis and whatever, but I like it because I think that there's some kids that'll stay in school that don't need to go to the league yet. And I think there's some guys that'll make some money to play in these bowl games, protect themselves, buy an insurance policy, whatever. And again, the insurance policies these kids get, like for, they get it for disability. If you get hurt in the game, there's one that's like a lot NFL draft stock loss of value. They are, and this is a guy, I've been in insurance for 15 years. I know insurance like the back of my hand. They are the most worthless insurance policies that you could ever buy. Google them. Go look at Lloyd's of London. They've never been cashed. Like people buy these things and they think, oh, I'm protected from an injury or I'm protected from if I lose my draft value. And guess what? They're pure profit for the insurance carriers or they're profit for the brokerages. There's never been one cashed. You can go look up. I think it was Marquise Walker. He played for the USC Trojans. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick, got hurt, sucked his last year. I think he went second, third round. Tried to cash his policy that he took out. It was like a $5 million policy. And it got denied. The claim got denied because they said, oh, you sprained your ankle in like second grade. And here's a doctor's note that says you did that. So the claim's denied. You didn't disclose that on your injury history. So again, these guys, they try to protect themselves. But I think for these guys, it's a nice little deal. Hey, give me some NIL money playing this game. It helps to fly your family down, take care of them, whatever. I think it's a good measure because again, these kids, college football, the money's exploding. I'm telling you, these streaming services, Apple, Amazon, they're all getting on these bidding wars for the next round of TV rights, and that money ain't going down. So these kids need to get paid a little bit. The coaches are getting paid insane amounts of money for being essentially overpaid gym teachers. So, that's a term that an agent told me that one time, and I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty funny. Somebody use that one. Nevada, your thoughts on NIL and other future player payment models? What does that have to do with guys opting out bowl games? Because I think that it helps guys play in the bowl games, honestly.
Well, honestly, this year has really changed my opinion. I've been completely anti-NIL. I don't like NIL, or I haven't liked NIL. I just everything about it was kind of unseemly to me, and I think teams are using it in the wrong way. I think it's payola. It was never meant to be payola, but that's what it's turned out to be. Having said all that, this year's Ohio State team doesn't return without NIL. And next year's Ohio State team certainly doesn't return without NIL. And that's kind of turned me on this issue because, look, I'm all about what's good for Ohio State. And, I don't care about the rest of the Big Ten. I don't care about the rest of college football. I don't care about anything else. I care about Ohio State and Ohio State football. I'm an Ohio State fan. That's what I am. And in this case, this has really worked out well for Ohio State because, as you mentioned many, many times, without NIL, these kids aren't playing in this game. Without NIL, a lot of these kids aren't coming back next year. So you know what? Hey, sign me up I'm pro NIL. I think Ohio State's doing it the right way. I think Ohio State's doing it the responsible way. I think Ohio State's doing it the only sustainable way. It's we're not going Texas A&M. We're not going Ole Miss. I mean, this Ole Miss model right now, where they've gone out and added, or Miami, they've added 8 defensive linemen, and it just can't work, guys. It just can't work. It just screws up your room. It screws up your culture. Everything just kind of messed up. I think Ohio State's using this the right way, mainly as a retention tool, as opposed to an attraction. They're trying to be competitive enough with the kids to get the kids, but they're not going out and buying kids. And I think it's smart. I think it's sustainable. And I think it's the only way you can play NIL in 2023 and beyond. And I'm now a fan, and I wasn't. So this is a change for Nevada Bug.
I'm glad you're seeing the light. Pay the kids.
Yeah.
Phil Rapp, this is a great question. I'm going to throw this right to you, Nevada. Devin Brown doesn't play well. I hope there isn't an overreaction because the one thing I know about our fan base is they never overreact. It's his first start. God. Nevada, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the biggest thing that I'm concerned about, Frank, is the fans just not even forget the start. I'm talking about the first pass or the first possession or the first incomplete or whatever. And, we think this stuff doesn't make a difference, and it does. I mean, it affects social media. Because remember, it's not just the player that's reading this stuff. It's their family. It's their friends. It's their people that are in their spheres of influence. And when they read, like, the entire fan base is ready to burn the place down because Devin throws a pick or Devin fumbles or Devin whatever, it's just not good. So, yeah, I think we need to have a little bit of patience. And, we've talked about this many, many times. But, Art Schlichter in his first game didn't exactly tear it up against Penn State. Like I said, I think he threw 4 interceptions or 5 or whatever. I mean, it was not an auspicious beginning, and that one turned out okay. Sans the serial fraud and and gambling abuse and all the other stuff that he's done to discredit himself. But on the field, he was a heck of a player. We got to give Devin Brown some time. I think Devin's going to be good, but for Ryan Day, is he evaluating this? Is he looking at this and kind of going, I'm really going to have to make a judgment after I get all these plays in the book to see if I want to make a move in the portal? I think there's no question that's what he's doing. But is that fair? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that's reality. I think Ryan's going to see how he does at the end of the game, and I think that's what we should all do. Let's take a look at the game, kind of take a step back, evaluate the fact that it's his first start. It's against a top 10 opponent. It is Missouri. It's not, it's not Alabama. It's not Georgia, but it's a good team. This isn't Indiana. This isn't Akron. This is a real team that we're playing here, and it's a real team that's going to bring pressure too. They're going to blitz the heck out of him. So he's coming into a challenging situation. Let's see how he handles it, and we can all make our decision after that. But don't freak out after the first incomplete pass. Be better than that.
If you guys would like to freak out after the first incomplete pass, please make sure you join BuckeyesCube.com. We'll have a game thread, and it is always on tilt. It is amazing how hilarious it is. People absolutely lose their minds on it, and it's always fun to reread the next day when people are like, fire Ryan Day, fire Gene, fire the quarterbacks, get rid of everybody. We need to leave the Big Ten. We stink. And it'll be like the first drive versus like Youngstown State, and people are, and they're so far off the cliff. It's amazing. But it is a fantastic read. It's exceptionally entertaining because people really get emotional about this. But I think he'll be good. All right. You drink it. So again, if you're our Scoop Ultra update, something we're going to add to this is if you guys ask us a question in the chat and I see that you're a Scoop Ultra, there's a really good chance we're going to throw it up here. You drink it, my man. I appreciate you. You're here every night. Appreciate all you regulars. Mello, some of you guys that are in here, Cookie Monster. Thank you guys as always. Watch party updates, Nevada. Are we still doing the watch party? Are you going to be excited for the watch party? Do you have your houndstooth hat for the watch party?
Oh, dude, I'm ready. Like I said, watch party. Not doing it for the Ohio State game because we're too into the Ohio State game, and I don't want to. I need to watch that in the comfort of my own home with my kids and my Cheweenies and just getting ready to watch the big game. But the Alabama-Michigan game will be our first ever watch party. So I expect everybody to tune in. If you're an Ohio State fan, if you're a Michigan hater, if you're an Alabama fan, if you're an SEC fan, if you're a college football fan and you just want some hilarity, just tune into this. We're going to try it out. I'm going to do it until my phone melts because I'm trying to figure out how to keep my phone cool enough because the processing system, I have an iPhone 14, but it processes so fast on this thing and it overheats. So I literally have to put ice packs underneath it when I'm on the thing, and then I got to charge it, and I got 3.5 hours, and then there's a lot of moving parts on this right now, but we're going to do it. We're going to gut it out, and 3.5 hours of hilarity. I can't wait.
I mean, honestly, just keep like a couple of those big, like go buy those big Yeti ice packs because those things last forever and put it right under your hemorrhoid donut you'll be sitting on the whole time and we'll be good to go. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you, because I know you said, you already said you're not going to do a catheter. You're not going to wear I got you like an extra large Depends diaper. And you also said you're not going to wear that. So I don't know what you're going to do other than if you're going to sit in a porta-john in your front driveway, which I think that would work.
No. Pee pads, man. Pee pads. Let's get those pee pads.
Hey, when you got puppies, I mean, a lot of you guys got puppies, and you guys get puppies for Christmas. I got a puppy for Christmas, and the pee pads are money. You put a little treat next to it, and it's all good. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I hope you guys tune in. Again, we're trying to turn up a little bit and have some fun for a game that most of us really don't care about, other than we want to see. Probably most of our second favorite teams is Bama because they're really good and they beat the and when everybody compares us when we lose or we don't win the national championship, it's like, oh, why can't we be like Bama? Well, this is the game where you get to root for Bama because they're literally playing Michigan, who you hate more than anybody. So I think it's going to be fantastic. Well, we'll wrap this thing up, Nevada. Any final thoughts as we wrap up our Tuesday? Hayes in the barn, guys. There's one practice off a walkthrough tomorrow, and game's going to be here. Your thoughts?
Bet the Buckeyes, man. Run to your little phone, download the whatever your favorite betting app is. Since we don't have a gambling sponsor, But if we did have gambling sponsor, I'd tell you to go to that particular app. But since we don't, go to whatever app you want, download a thing, click Ohio State, lay the points, spin them on the money line, kind of parlay those two things together, and get rich, kids, on Friday night.
Let's get rich. I like this. Buckeye Scooper. That's really good. And whoever was in the thing saying I should call the plays, I totally agree. That'd be amazing if I called the plays. Buckeye Scooper, team activate. I love that. Buckeye family. Appreciate you guys as always. We're going to wrap this thing up. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. Again, thank you for kicking it with us again as we march into the new year. Big shows coming in the next few days. We're going to have a big watch party. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, if you enjoy this show, leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, everything you guys do to help us grow this channel, we really appreciate. Love kicking it with you guys. I hope you guys had a good time with your family yesterday. Nice little time here before the game on Friday. So we're going to have a lot of content for you guys. Join BuckeyeScoop.com if you want to be a part of the premier Ohio State football experience. We appreciate you guys as always. Also, shout out where you guys are watching from. And I want to hear, what was your best Christmas gift? Did you guys get anything? Get some socks, get a wallet, get a knit hat, whatever you guys got. Throw that down in the comments. I love reading what you guys have to write. Shout out where you guys are watching from as always. Again, I love my Southern Ohio folks, Canton. We got all the people down in South Point, down in Ironton. Appreciate all you guys down on the river watching us. As always, you guys are the best. So thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.